While we sleep, the guardians of the night take to the streets, having said goodbye to those they love. Each other knowing they may never say these words again, they face the evil that we run from. They dedicate their lives to those that would hate them because they wear the badge. They wear the badge not for the glory or recognition, but for the passion to help others. This is the LEO First Podcast. We'll talk to the men and women in law enforcement, those that have retired, those that keep the prisons secure, and anyone who's impacted by law enforcement. We'll peel back the curtain, and you'll get the real stories. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Every law enforcement officer has a story to tell. Get ready to hear from the men and women who put their lives on the line every day for their communities and their country. Welcome to the LEO First Podcast. Now, here's your host, Michael Laidler.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Laidler, host of the LEO First Podcast, and I'm very excited today. Why? Because we have a guest on that I learned about a few weeks ago after being on another podcast, and after I started to research him and see what he was involved in, things that he was promoting, I realized that he's like all of us. He's just a regular guy trying to promote this industry, trying to promote wellness, trying to build people based on some of his own life experiences. And I'm so... I can't even think of the word. It's just, I just know, guys, we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to have two energetic individuals that love to bring this kind of information to you. And I will tell you, to be completely transparent, this is actually my second time recording the intro. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we keep this whole conversation is so real and transparent that I started the intro not realizing that our guest actually lost internet connection initially, or lost the ability to be on Zoom. And then when I said, go ahead and speak, I was like, oh, he's not here. So this time will be right. Pat McNamara, tell us about you.
Hey, thanks for that intro, Michael. Appreciate it. And yeah, you were mentioning about like wellness and helping people out. I found that I have a unique position on the internet, to do that. And I'm very grateful because it started kind of accidentally, but it's grown substantially and my reach has become wider and wider. So therefore I get to, help people become better people through just simple messaging on the simple, clean messaging on the interwebs. But yeah, man, I'm a retired military guy, 22 years special ops. A guy retired in 2005 and been working under my own banner of T.A.P.S ever since.
And it's pretty cool because one of the things that we sometimes struggle with in our industry and like kind of promoting each other is social media. And when you brought that up, I kind of knew the number, but I went back and just looked at your LinkedIn. And I don't know if you're big on like the IG or the TikTok or on any or X or whatever the other platforms are called. But just on LinkedIn alone, you have 57,000 followers or connections. And how do you think it rose to that number? Because that's a pretty astronomical number when it comes to like social media, especially LinkedIn.
Well, my big platform is probably the Instagram because I have 600,000 followers there.
Wow.
Yeah. And then big YouTube following. I've had millions and millions of people watch my videos, but I think one of the major growth started in 2019 when I invented basic dude stuff. That was at the end of 2019. And that resonates with pretty much everybody. It's kind of a full spectrum connectivity with the basic dude stuff. It's all encompassing. So that one really helped grow numbers and following just because people need that stuff. I think nowadays people are genuinely craving genuine.
Right.
And I don't have, yes, I am what one would call an internet influencer. But like so many of the retired military, especially special ops military influencers, their message is almost angry You better do this. You better freaking get off your ass. You better go run. You better do push-ups. Stop whining, And I think people have just, uh, they're they were craving something a little lighter than that when it comes to influencers and positive messaging. So I was happy to fill that void.
What led you to basic dude stuff? I mean, I looked at it, but it's so cool because it is literally basic and it's simple. But how did you get to that? Like, who came up with that?
I was here at home with my bride Rebecca. She's also my best friend. We hang out, and we party together at night, and we do this like every night. We let our hair down every night a little bit. I have a motto: every night is Saturday night, but every morning is Monday morning.
Wow.
Because when you're working for yourself, you're in business 7 days a week. So when somebody says have a nice weekend, you look at him, you go, oh, okay, it's just another work day. But we were here at home one night, and I was in total zombie mode. I was in white. I was in the white, in my recliner, Ranger panties. All right, shall I start up?
We're back on. Pat. Just so viewers know, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but that's part of being genuine and real. Bring it back to us.
Yep. So I'm sitting at home in conditioned white, in my recliner, Ranger panties, glass of bourbon, and I'm chatting with my bride. We had just ordered some appliances for the kitchen, matching set of 4, the refrigerator, the oven, the over the oven, microwave, and dishwasher. And she was saying, yeah, we could get, somebody to help install this stuff. And I said, Rebecca, I could install this stuff. She goes, you can? I said, yeah, man. I mean, I know all this stuff that dudes should know how to do. I don't know much of the advanced stuff, but I know all the basic stuff, the basic stuff that a guy like me should do. And then it came out, the basic dude stuff. And I went, whoa, because that just resonated, those 3 words right there. So I wrote it down real quick, and then I just started filling lines with examples of stuff that dudes should know how to do. Now, keep in mind, because this is important, basic dude stuff is all encompassing. It doesn't matter man, woman, boy, girl, or what your sex is, what your race is, what your religion is, what your age is. It doesn't matter. It's all encompassing. And there's a reason I'm saying that, and I'll get back to it, and if not, prompt me. But I just started filling the lines in, and it's everything from, it's basically self-improvement, and also it covers things like just good human behavior. What should we humans do on a daily basis to coexist in harmony? So anything from, making a bed to cooking a meal, to making your bride a cup of coffee in the morning, to learning poetry, to playing music, to appreciating the outdoors. It goes on and on and on and on. And I do another episode every Wednesday.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I've been doing those every Wednesday since December of 2019.
Wow. You're about to hit. You're number 4. If I'm right. Yeah. 4 years.
Yeah. So and it grew so fast that I realized that I needed a trademark it. I mean, just a couple months into it, I needed a trademark it because I was getting a lot of copycats, a lot of echoes, which brings me back to basic dude stuff is all encompassing, because the amount of people hitting me up with this novel idea, dude, I have a great idea. Basic dad stuff. Dude, I have a great idea. Basic mom stuff. Dude, I have a great idea. Basic cop stuff. Dude, I have a great idea. Basic carpenter, basic kid, basic boy, basic girl, basic chick, basic wheelchair, basic cat, basic dog. It just went on and on and on. And everybody thinks they've got this original idea.
So when you start getting these flood of messages of people coming up with other ideas, you talked about trademarking. How did you, what made you, because a lot of us don't really know how to do that side, the content that we create. So how did you learn about trademarking?
Well, real important, right? So securing intellectual property is very important, and I don't think people do it enough. Number one, when you have a good idea, right? First off, write it down, because thoughts are fleeting. Thoughts, you have an epiphany, you say, this would be a good idea to write this thing, or to make this widget, or to create this slogan on a t-shirt. People do that all the time, but very few people act on it. So if you think it's a good idea, I tell people, secure it immediately, even if it's not going to be a moneymaker. So I did it years and years ago. I wrote a book called T.A.P.S, Tactical Application of Practical Shooting, just to secure intellectual property through a copyright, because people were copying my training methodology on the range. So I thought, man, I better secure this. So yeah, you just, find, and it's better to do it with a trademark lawyer versus like an online, online site where you could do it yourself. And there's a process, and there's a fee, of course, but in the end, like I said, thoughts are fleeting. And if you've got a good thought, if you don't write it down and act on it, somebody's going to scarf it up. And another thing about good ideas is limit the amount of people you tell, because somebody's not as creative as you. And that person with a lack of creativity is going to scarf that up, use it, and make money off it. It's happened to me in the past many times. So yeah, man, good ideas, secure them, secure that URL, secure that copyright, secure that patent, secure that trademark, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's one of my downsides. I get a great idea and I get excited and I tell people, but you're right. If you're going to, especially make it something that's high quality of your own, sometimes it's good to hold on to it long enough to get the trademark done, because at that point, when you push it out between, like you said, T.A.P.S, and then the basic dude stuff, you don't really know where it's going to go. But if you didn't have stuff like that trademarked, who knows, like all the offshoots people would have done in order to get their own revenue from it.
Yep. You pegged it, my man.
That's crazy. So it's pretty cool because you have several healthy outlets that you entail, and obviously you have a good partner, so that's probably the best outlet, is that you have a supporting spouse and wife that's there for you. Being able to do basic do stuff, have you found that have you paid attention to the benefit that has brought you as a person?
Well, yeah, I mean, people are looking for it. People are relying on it now. Basic dude stuff Wednesday. Basic dude stay. My Wednesday's not complete without basic dude stuff. So I've got to generate ideas, and a lot of them, sometimes I have to think, well, let me learn this thing, because I like to learn stuff. I'm interested, in things, and I'd rather do it myself than hire somebody or ask somebody else to do it for me. So, get on stuff like YouTube University or look in a book and figure out how to build that thing, how to tie that knot, how to cook that meal. So a lot of times I'll post a basic dude stuff and people say, man, I didn't know you know how to do this. And what they don't know is I just learned how to do that yesterday. It's so, and they say, where did you learn this? Dude, we have this thing called the internet.
True.
I mean, get on there and learn something new. It's pretty easy. So yeah, it encourages me, now that I've developed this machine. It's a worldwide brand too. Worldwide. I have to learn new stuff. I have to be adamant about posting new things. When I say worldwide, it's the interesting thing about it too, Michael, that a lot of people don't know is almost immediately, like 6 months in or so, I started getting notes from kids from all over the globe. Ooh. And they were sending me little 15-second videos of them doing basic dude stuff. So now my obligation to doing the BDSs became more important, because I knew that I was influencing the next generation, so the thought was, this has to be a positive influence, so let's keep the content clean. Because prior to that, I may have put stuff on basic dude stuff like pouring a beer the right way, keeping a head on the beer, or keeping a
Right.
good ash on your cigar, though not intoxicating really, or, it's, I'm not treading into slimy territory, but the thing is, it's not clean content for kids. So I took even that stuff out. There's not a cuss in it. It's just clean content, because I have to understand that a lot of little kids are watching that as well. So, and picking up information.
And that's just kind of realizing your surroundings. I mean,
Right.
you're right.
No,
I mean, I
you
bet
are.
it's cool. You start getting those letters or there's emails, there's notes. It's like, hey, look what we're doing. You're like, oh man, this wasn't what I was aiming for. But now,
Right.
since I know what it's hitting, now I have to be even more strategic and still
Mhm.
genuine at the same time, but understand that what I put out, people will follow.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Real important, because there's so much crap on the interwebs, so much visceral garbage and politics and negativity. It's good to have just that little bit of Wednesday 1 minute feel good
Yeah.
that people
Yeah.
could rely
It,
on.
yeah. Even if it's just that, hey, so I saw you, I was looking at your page and I don't know if this was your first time doing it, but you were making a cake. Tell us
Yeah.
about that. Was that the first time making a cake ever?
No. I've made no. I could cook. That's like that first conversation I had with Rebecca. There's certain things I could do that I think men should know how to do. Why shouldn't a man make a birthday cake for his wife? What's she gonna do? Make it herself?
Yeah.
um, or but cooking, I've always been able to do. I've always been an outdoorsman. I've always been hobby heavy. I've always been able to build stuff, fix stuff. Like I told Rebecca that first night, I can't build a house, but I could fix a house. I can't build a car, but I could fix a car. I could tie knots. I could catch fish. I could hunt. I could garden. I could do all of these things that our primal being,
Correct.
should be able to do. And we're really relinquishing that. We're really separating ourselves, distancing ourselves from not just our primal being, but our being from just even 100 years ago. When we had to fend for ourselves, we had to fix our own things. We had to do our own research. To do research, we had to go to the library. And get a library card.
Ooh, that would mess some people up, library
we
cards.
yeah. But it just teaches one not only how that we should be, eclectic and expand our reach in knowledge, but also be a good steward of our environment and be kind to one another, things like that. Just being a good human being.
With with all of that, and it's so interesting how you take it back to just us knowing how to do basic skills, like, and you're right, it's crazy, we're losing that ability, but at the same time, it's not like we can't go find it easily. Like you
Right.
said, like a lot of things you do even every Wednesday or post every Wednesday is things that you can easily research and look up. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's like we fail to just realize, oh, this is very simple. Like if I want to go change a light bulb, I don't have to know
Right.
how to run the wiring to the light bulb, but that doesn't mean I can't just go and screw the bulb myself.
Correct. Right. And a lot of times, I'll just get notes from people saying, "Oh, thanks. I forget. You reminded me to start my generator," or "Oh, thanks. You reminded me to change the filter in my air conditioning system,"
Mhm.
or "Oh, thanks. You reminded me to check the oil in my car or the tire pressure." That all that stuff, because people know it. A lot of people know it, but sometimes they just need a little jump start. And just a reminder.
Yeah, and like once again, like all the stuff you're doing is so helpful to other people, and it allows them to, at least from my perspective, like understand their own worth and value. Just
Right.
understand, just knowing that they can do a lot of things on their own. They don't need a team of people to change the oil on their car. If they want to go
Mhm.
do that, they can go do that. If they want to go, like you said, restart their generator, change their air filter, like they can do all of that. And you're empowering them to do that just by reminding them through things of, hey, look, guys, look what I was able to figure out or do. You can do this as well. So for you, how do you think that relates to like some of these high stress positions, like knowing that a person can go back and just do the basics for themselves? Like are you teaching that as well? Like, hey guys, this, remember, at the end of the day, you're a person. You can do things on your own. You don't need an organization to guide you in a certain direction.
Yeah. So twofold there. One is, with the high stress positions, when people are in high stress, not only do they have that little bit of an outlet, right? Watching that clip. But the other thing is that I might get the gears in motion for people in high stress jobs, and they might say, you know what? I can use a creative outlet. I should maybe learn to draw or paint, or maybe I should grow a small garden. I don't have much of a yard, but I could grow a small garden, or I could take a walk and recognize my local fauna and look it up, and my local flora and look it up. So it encourages people to be creative as well.
I know, and that's why I said that's what's so cool about that. Because one of the goals of this show is to help humanize the badge, humanize people in uniform, let people know that, hey, we're humans, we're people outside of it, and let the people that wear it know, like, you could be a regular person. You can go plant a garden. Like, for example, I have a townhouse where I live at, and while I don't have enough grass, if I saw one of your shows or one of your short clips, I said, oh look, I can plant a small little garden out here. And that would give me something else to do besides, maybe think of the bad things that happen throughout the day. Well, let me go plant a tree. Let me go water the flowers. The simple things that we can do at our houses.
Yep. Yeah, you could just the power of just looking up. There's a lot to be said about just looking up. And I remember having this conversation with people because I pointed out to them, I said, oh, look at that, there's an osprey. And they said, I've never seen an osprey before. And this was in Florida. And in Florida, they're everywhere.
Wow.
Osprey, they're everywhere. And I said, all you got to do is look up. That's all you got to do. Or look at the night sky too. All you got to do is look up. There's a wonderland above you, a wonderland. And you want to feel small? Find a place with a very little light pollution and check out the night sky. And learn a little bit about astrology and the constellations and things like that. It'll really turn your world upside down.
Literally. Yeah.
Yep, literally.
Literally, if you really pay attention, you're right. Being from Florida myself, Miami, Florida, I could definitely tell learning the little things like that definitely give you more hope. They allow you to see what can be ahead of you with some optimism and some passion. Yep. Now, obviously, you didn't always have the what you call it, the basic do stuff all your life. This was something that just came out 4 years ago. And you have an extensive background in military. We talked about Army for 22 years. What do you like? So you have your fellow armed forces in uniform right now, and let's say they're having a bad day. What would you tell them about like basic dude stuff that can help benefit them?
Oh, it's as simple as just watching it. Watch some of the clips that are like lumped together on my YouTube channel, because it's going to benefit them. It's a vehicle of escapism, if nothing else.
There we go.
Well, because it's entertaining. It's entertaining, and you're gonna learn something at the same time. And I inject humor into it.
So it's just not like a funny Instagram reel of a kid eating a piece of cake and you gain no value. Like, you're actually gaining value out of your short clips.
Right. Yeah.
Because you see some things on social media, you're just like, what did I just scroll through? Like, why did I watch this minute clip of something that makes sense versus what you have? It's like, hey, you guys are actually going to learn something from it.
Yep. Yeah. Bingo. And I also did a series for a long time. And every once in a while, I go back to it, called the Sunday Sentinel Sermons.
So what was that about?
Well, so same type of flavor, as basic dude stuff, short clips. So I wrote a book called Sentinel: How to Be the Agent in Charge of Your Own Executive Protection Detail. And it's so the gist of that book is what we can do as just members of a community, members of a family, ensure not only our safety, but the safety of our loved ones. What can we do at a micro level that is comparable to what an executive protection detail would do? So those clips, Sunday Sentinel Sermons, is like driving tips, like if you're being followed, or not using your cell phone while you're driving, and throw out some stats on the dangers of that, or the things you should have in your vehicle, to help you get out of a bad situation or somebody else get out of a bad situation, or installing security cameras in your home, because your home is your fortress, or doing some prep, being not necessarily a prepper, but just being prepared for adverse conditions, whether that's power outage due to natural disaster or civil unrest. What can we do to help ensure our safety and the safety of others? So more information based and entertaining little clips.
It's crazy how, giving your background for a solid, and I know it's still today, but it was even more, for 22 years, you maintain this heightened level of awareness. And I know, I've done it for 18 years. It does take a toll on you. Yep. Throughout your time, like how did you find ways to not get burned out or stressed out? And if you did, obviously you're to a point where you've grown, but back then, was there any certain techniques, strategies, or methods you used to kind of minimize some of this high stress environments that you were always in?
Yeah, work out like a man possessed.
Okay.
That's the big one, right? Exercise to relieve stress. That's the biggest one. Just smoke yourself. Because my whole career was special ops. So you could imagine that none of it was mundane.
Nothing.
So it wasn't, day-to-day grind stuff. So we were never in danger of getting burnt out. Excuse me, when it comes to like day-to-day grind stuff. Because there was always something new to learn, always something to, skills to maintain, always a new mission to prep for, always a new environment to train in. But when it comes to high stress, man, it's the simple ass old remedy of diet, exercise, rest. That's it.
As you know, sometimes it's almost that it's like that simple. Diet,
it is that
exercise,
simple,
or rest.
Yep. It is really that simple. And then, I really believe in creative outlets though, too. Having a project or several projects that you do outside of work, because it keeps the gears in motion. It keeps the brain lubed up, and interested. And it also prevents that burnout. I just think it's very important to have those creative outlets.
And I know you've heard this before, especially up to this point. When people say, I don't have enough time to diet or exercise, what is your response to them?
Yeah, that's horseshit. That's just that's one of many, many excuses. So one of the things I do, that's another thing I do, is I have a online workout program called
You're killing
Combat
it. Yes,
Strength Training.
You're killing it on there. Yes, I have seen that.
So and the biggest thing that I'm trying to get through to people is to mitigate excuses. Because what are the big excuses? One is time. Another one is like time. So I don't have either time during the day, time to drive to a gym. Another one is money. I don't have money to join a gym or money for all of the equipment necessary. So those two right there, I completely eliminate. So I do all my workout in my driveway, and it's very Spartan. It's very Spartan. The gear is minimal, but it's the right gear. And then my workouts are only 30 minutes. So there's another one. So you can't talk money, and you can't talk time, because you got 30 minutes. And if you're doing it right, that's all you need, 30 minutes. And the recipe there is to work in anaerobic chunks in circuit to near metabolic threshold to meet an aerobic goal. So you're checking all the blocks there too. And then the last one, the excuse is, well, I don't have the creativity to come up with a workout. Well, there's my feed right there. And I'm giving you all the examples.
Yes.
I mean, there's thousands of examples I put on the interwebs and all of the platforms. And then I keep it mixed up too, with the workout program, break down the work week into a power day, strength day, speed and quickness day, hypertrophy day, and a skills day. So now you mitigate the boredom, the mundane feeling, the stuck in a rut type of attitude.
Yeah. So they can't use time, money, or creativity anymore. I mean, it's
as an excuse.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. I mean, obviously injuries is one thing, but you can't really do that. I mean, you can still stretch, but I mean, that's one of those, you don't stay injured for 20 years of your life. Typically, like you have, like most people will have, the average person will have an injury maybe once every few years, but to continuously use that as a reason or excuse doesn't make sense. But you're right. Most of the excuses I typically hear, and I've never used the money because there's so many gyms out there that are free. That's not there, but I've even been a person that's used time as an excuse. And then once you break it down, you start looking at all the different types of workouts, HIIT workouts like you're talking about. It's like, I can't really make an excuse. Like if I can't spare 30 minutes at some point throughout the day, or even 10 minutes, let's say, then I need to really readjust my life.
Yeah, the last two excuses are big too, and I raise the bullshit flag on both of these now as well. One of them is I don't have the motivation, or I have chronic pain. Well, guess what? I have both of those too. I have chronic pain because I have a disease called polymyalgia rheumatica. So everything hurts all the time. Wow. There are days when I am immobile, completely incapacitated. And therefore, because of chronic pain, I have zero motivation and enthusiasm. So I have to rely on discipline now. So what's your excuse there? People with if you're saying you don't have any discipline, then damn, you got bigger problems. You got to find that discipline because I am sapped of motivation, sapped.
Yeah, but it's crazy because what tends to motivate me, especially if I get up early in the morning and work out, is sometimes just seeing older folks walking around. And I know if they're in their 70s or 80s, they probably have some ailments that they're working through, but they tell themselves that, no, I'm going to get out and just walk for 30 minutes to an hour. So for me, I'm with you on this one, Pat. It's like, how do I make the excuse of I can't at least go walk for 30 minutes a day if I see someone that's double my age doing the same thing?
Yeah, it's such good therapy too. I tell people that, with people who just have no drive, no motivation, they might be ailing for something. I suggest that. I say, hey man, just go to a park and go for a walk. You'll be amazed at how good you'll feel afterwards. You're not getting a great workout by going for a walk, but you're clearing your head. When you're thinking, don't do this with music. Don't put in earbuds. Listen, open up your ears, open up your eyes, open up your mind, and then go your own way.
Man, I went on a run this past weekend and I started with earbuds, and at some point during the run, I turned them off, and I don't know why. And you're right. Like my thoughts were just like all over the place, but in a good way, like creative. It's probably because the first part of the hour run was 20 minutes, and I had my headphones on, and that kind of got me going. And then I don't know if I hit my phone by mistake or I intentionally did it, but all of a sudden another 20 minutes passed, and I'm like, wait, I haven't had music or anything in my ears, but I had all these creative thoughts. So you're right, the mental side is just as important when it comes to exercise.
Yeah, it's great therapy. Great therapy.
So when you're not physically able to work out in front of your garage, how often do you find yourself running or walking?
Very often. I get out every morning. I have a routine. I get it. My first order of business every morning is do this do this thing called earthing or
Earthing?
grounding.
Okay.
So, and those of you out there who are listening to this, if you have, you just need to try this. So that's nothing more than you're walking, preferably in grass because it feels good, just barefoot. But first thing in the morning, it's invigorating. You're not on any devices. Your computer's not on. Your phone's not with you. Leave that crap in the house and just go for a little walk barefoot and check out, like I'll garden in the morning and then I take my dogs for a walk. And this is first thing in the morning, every morning. And it's very invigorating.
Huh. You know what? I've never heard or tried that before.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
you just call it earthing.
Yeah. There's energy in the earth, you could, I watched this experiment with a guy where he's got Crocs on, and he takes his Crocs off and he's standing on his Crocs, so he's just standing on them, and he's got a multimeter, the leads in both between one in the left hand and one in the right hand, and they're registering as 0. And he steps off of his Crocs onto a ground and the meter spikes because the earth is energy.
It's. I mean, you're right. I mean, I can 100% picture that. Like, hey, I never. You done threw me off with that one. You have me thinking what I'm gonna do tomorrow morning. Now, when I get up, like they're like, I may not walk outside and where I'm at without my shoes on, but I could definitely see like just removing all the tech. I think that's the first. I think nowadays with the way our society is, just removing the tech will be a good step for a lot of people.
Yeah. Because it's like a drug, our smartphones and such. It's like a drug, and there's this massive release of endorphins and stuff like that. And you need that from other sources than your electronics, and the outdoors to me is number one.
Now, does your bride go with you for this stuff too? Is it just you?
Oh, she got me into it.
No, this is why I said earlier. You're winning all around. You got that support system that got you going, and now you're doing it. People, that's cool.
Yeah, well, she really helped me out past couple of years because of this sickness I have. So she did a lot of research, and we started going the all natural route on everything, and it's made I've made massive improvements on everything, man. My sensory perception and my overall health and how I feel, because I got off all prescription meds and just been going the natural route, been doing the grounding. I've been doing infrared sauna, things like that, which the older we get, the more we could use things like that for just body maintenance.
So the disease or illness, I don't know what it's classified as, that you have now. Now you haven't had it all your life, correct?
Correct.
So for you, when this first hit, obviously you started to feel the pain and you started to feel weird. You're like, oh, why am I feeling this way? And then you finally went to the doctor, get it checked out. How did you feel when you were actually diagnosed? Because that's the real side of things that are going on with people. And I bring that up to say, or I'm bringing it to kind of lead to the point of, you had to overcome something that you weren't used to. And for so long, especially being in special forces, you're operating at a level to where it's like, if you take it like a sports player, you're at a superstar level all the time. And now this disease hits you. And it's kind of like it's a serious punch in the chest. So how did you feel like during that process of, I can't do some of the things I could do before, or I have to change how I did things before? Like, how was that transition?
Yeah, the transition sucked. I mean, there's no other way around it. It just sucked bad because it came on quick. And the docs had trouble diagnosing what I had. So I did a lot of research, and I brought it up to them. I said, hey, man, all my symptoms match this thing right here. this PMR, this polymyalgia rheumatica. And all my docs said, yes, we've been thinking about that as well. So let's run all the tests on that and see if we could nail it down. So, and that was 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with it, just about 2 years. But it completely put a standstill on my active way of life. I mean, I couldn't drive a car, walk, open, couldn't, button a shirt, put a shirt on. It would take me about half the day to warm up before I could like function at like 40%. And that's what I started going off of, was like percentages during the day. Where am I at compared to the real Pat Mac, and I was usually around 30 to 40%. Every once in a while I'd have a 60% day. But it sucked because way of life changed all around. The energy, just the constant, everything was worked in slow motion. But one of the things I did throughout the entire sickness when I felt bad is I would still work out. Every ounce of my being said not to. Every single ounce of my being said, do not do it. And it hurt. And it hurt bad. So I had to do what I called breaking the pain barrier. And plus I gave it a name. I accepted the challenge. I called this thing my demon. And I said, well, I've been challenged before. I accept this challenge. Everything's a competition. Bring it on. Show me what you got, and I'm going to fight this thing.
And, people are going through a lot of things right now like that. I can't say it's the same diagnosis, but they're going through different pains and things like that. And it's very like uplifting that you found that outlet, that continuous workout. Now, have you always been into working out even prior to the military? Like, is this something that you were raised around? Like, how did you always get this drive to work out?
Yeah, I pretty much always since the age of 15. That's when I started getting physical, getting into sports, working out. And it's been nonstop since then. Just nonstop. What's the next challenge? How could I challenge myself? Where are my voids? What do I suck at? Those kind of things. So yeah, since the age of 15, because I was a wrestler in high school and I got really good at that.
and then just fitness. And then I guess you get, what people don't, if you've never been in the military, there's a lot of fitness requirements no matter what, like year round, especially special forces. So it's definitely not like you had an office job in the military on top of that.
Right.
Like you had something that put you in the field. And you guys have like a PFT, like a physical fitness test every year, correct? Or is it more often than a year?
Yep. But not just, there were constant physical challenges, constant. Because in the special ops, not only did you have to do the standard military, the physical qualification test, but there were obstacle courses you had to complete in certain amounts of time. There were 20-mile ruck marches that you had to complete in certain amount of time. It just went on and on. 500 meter swim times, all that stuff. You had to be very, very well rounded.
Yeah, I know I just think about that, like all the challenges. And like you said, since you had that drive since you were 15, I bet a lot of these physical fitness challenges, it was like right up your alley. Like it was like, yep, I'm ready for the next one.
Bingo.
Yeah. What's next? So as you move forward, as you've grown more, as you've been through several trials and tribulations physically, probably another aspects of your life as well. You have a supportive spouse, which is really good. And how long have you guys been together?
We've been together 10 years now.
10 years? Okay. So you were already out of the military when you met her?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So then she's been kind of that second life, that second career type of like on the other side of the military.
Yeah, she's my lifetime teammate. Yep.
Yeah.
And also my best buddy. Not just friend, but like my buddy. I like her. You know what I mean? I tell her that more than I tell her I love you, because I love a lot of us when we're in relationships. That term "I love you" becomes obligatory. You hang up the phone. Yeah, I love you too. That kind of shit. I tell her very often that I like her, because it's a different thing. I really, really like being in her company, and with her and do things with her. So I guess I'm very blessed in that, she's, when people often ask me, who's your best friend? Who do you hang out with? That's who it is. I have very few friends. I think I have 5 people that I can consider. Well, no, I would say 7 people, and that's including both of my kids and my wife, that are my good friends.
And I tell younger individuals, and I'm not the oldest. I'm like right in the middle, but you don't have to have a lot of people to have a good life.
Mm-mm.
Like you don't have to have like I know, like when I was younger in college or like late high school, it's like, oh, I need like 50 friends. But as I've gotten older, I'm kind of like you. I'm actually less than 7. Like I'm closer to like to 4 or 5.
Yep.
So if I include my son, maybe 6. But you know what I mean? Like you gotta because really you only have so much time, especially quality time to spend with people. So you having 7, I think that's a really good number.
Yep. Well, that's like I said, that's including my kids and my wife. So outside of that, yeah, 3 or 4 people. That's it. Outside of my family, 3 or 4 people that would consider, you are my friend. As a matter of fact, I've said that to them. It's like asking them out. It's like asking, I say, you are my friend, which means I trust you. Our relationship has reciprocity. I can confide in you. When I have a conundrum, I could rely on you if I need to piss and moan, or I could rely on you if I am elated.
That's important because you should be able to have close people that you can relay all your emotions to, not just like you said, having a bad day, go talk to them, but you could be able to talk to them for a good day too, like going back and forth, like, because you need those people in your life. So we're going to change a little bit of direction, and that's only because we talked a lot about family, and that's the goal. But I did want to touch on T.A.P.S because I'm not 100% familiar with it. Tell me about T.A.P.S.
So that's a corporation I generated after I retired, and it kind of covers all the blocks. That's all it is. It's an acronym, and it's cool. It's a cool acronym. It's training, marksmanship, adventure, concepts, and security.
It does sound cool. I got lie. When I saw it, I said, "Oh," and I looked at your website. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So, yeah. It's like, so what do you do in T.A.P.S?
Everything. I am the product. So everything from my shooting courses to adventure training to the working out to basic dude stuff. It's all T.A.P.S.
So you said, so hold on. You said adventure training. So what is that?
Well, like wilderness training, or, getting out and doing primal skills, traps and snares, fishing, hunting, those kind of things. Bird watching, even, I've been an avid bird watcher since I was age 10. And I do high alpine, long terrain, orienteering walks in wilderness areas, that kind of thing.
I'm about to take you up on one of these offers because I don't know about none of that stuff. I know how to get to and from my car, and I understand that if I walk in the forest for too long, I should have a weapon.
Yeah, right. Right.
But you're right. But it's funny, kind of what you talked about with the basic do stuff earlier. Just like some of the basic skills. Like I ain't gonna lie, I'll be straightforward. I grew up in the city, and if you just left me out in the wilderness for even a day, it would be tough for me. So
yeah, right.
Realistic.
Right. Most people.
Yeah, I understand. So when you're doing like this adventure training, because I'm very intrigued about that, just because I'm always looking at different ways to challenge myself and learn. Like, so are you hosting these classes quarterly, yearly? Like how do those come about?
Well, the shooting classes, that's the only thing I have like scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
That's a set schedule, and I do very few of them anymore. I've dialed back on my workload. A lot of it's because of this crap that I have. I can't maintain the same level of intensity anymore. So those are one a month, and then I run private classes too, and those kind of just emerge. People hit me up on the interwebs on email and say, "Hey man, can you run a private class for me?" I say, "Absolutely," but I don't travel for any work anymore. I stay right here in North Kakalaki.
I was there recently. I was there back in February. I was there's a resort that's over there in Pinehurst.
That's where I live.
Yeah, I saw it. That's why, and I meant to say it earlier, but I was
Mhm.
actually in Pinehurst speaking at a conference. What lodge was that at? Gosh, or it was at a resort.
Mhm.
Pineville was Pinehurst caught me off guard because as I got off the plane and drove from I think it was Raleigh Airport. I
RDU,
drove.
yep.
Yeah, it was about an hour, and it's kind of interesting that when you're driving down, it's kind of like it's like normal city, and then you go a lot of highway, and you kind of get off the highway, and it's kind of like just like an isolated area. Like you don't think nothing's gonna come up, and then
Right.
all of a sudden, it's just this beautiful
Mhm.
city, houses, scenery that just hits you in the face, and you're just like, "What is this?" And that's how I felt when I got into Pinehurst. I was like, where did all these trees come from? These nice houses and this
Mhm.
land, and I was like, because it was just kind of weird. So, how did you get to Pinehurst? Are you born and raised there?
No, I retired out of the military here, Fort Bragg. Um,
Okay.
so Fort Bragg's about 35, 40 minutes east of the area I'm in. So and yeah, when I retired, I just started looking for places out here. And man, I said, yep, this is where I'm staying. I'm staying right here.
So now I see why you're able to go walk barefoot outside because
Mhm.
Pinehurst, you can do that.
Right. Yep. Well, every city's got a park.
That's true. That's that. But see, that's a see. I want our viewers. If you didn't hear what he just said, if you hit the mute button or you went and like played on your phone by mistake, which you shouldn't probably be doing anyways, probably because you're listening to while you're driving. Even if
Mhm.
you don't have an immediate area right behind your house, there's always a park you can go do this to. You can
Yep.
go do some earthing. You could just find a location and still get the same benefit. You may do a little bit more work, but it's worth it.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And I mean, there's always a park. There's always a little chunk of a yard where you are. There's always a ball field, and nobody's, there's not a lot of activity on those ball fields first thing in the morning.
No, there's not. I have a few around my house, and whenever I walk, there's nobody there usually.
Mhm.
Not early in the morning, not especially if it's the sun's barely rising or something like that. All you have is that nice condensation on the grass where it's nice and cool and stuff like that. I've never tried with my shoes off yet, but you definitely challenged me to go try something new.
Yep. You're gonna love it.
Oh, trust me. I'm gonna try it out. So
Mhm.
looking into the future, as you grow T-Max, you grow your basic dude stuff, you continue to grow. I mean, Instagram's flowing, LinkedIn's growing, your YouTube's flowing. What are some of the things you're trying to influence as far as like build, grow? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
I have no idea. I'm kind of a I live in the moment, I don't have a 5-year plan or anything
Mhm.
like that. There's some things I would like to do, but I'm not going to disclose those because once again,
Fair enough.
thoughts are fleeting, ideas are good, and people are out there ready to snatch up those ideas.
That's true. So, like, I know for me, like, I used to like vague things. I say I want to open like a leadership company and have people instruct for me. It's
Mhm.
things that I think about. But you're right, very specific things. I am careful on that because sometimes that roadmap may be too direct, and somebody may have a little bit more time than I do to kind of build that road. And I'm like,
Mhm.
how did they get to my destination before
Right.
I got to
Exactly.
it?
Exactly.
So yeah, especially with given your circumstance with all the followers you have and the connections and the people, they can definitely come up with some very creative ways to kind of beat you to wherever your destination might be.
Mhm.
So I also saw that you got in with a Vader Coffee recently. I don't
Yep.
know a lot about them. What's that all about?
So Invader, I've been affiliated with Invader Coffee since Wes Whitlock of Rogue American Apparel, since
Mhm.
he started in 2015. So it's based out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
So it's a veteran-owned company, small, um, and the coffee is spectacular. It's air roasted. The beans are air roasted, so it harnesses more of the flavor of an individual bean. Um, so coffee nerds out there, you got to get you a bag of Invader. I've got my own blend the Blaze Ops blend, but the Outsider is one of my favorites too. The Outsider blend from Invader. So I just signed on. It's been in the works now for about 2 years to be part owner of that, but I am very happy to be a part owner of a company like that.
And for me, it's because I'm in Texas, I'm in Beaumont. So driving distance from me to Austin's like 3 hours, maybe 4, maybe.
Yep.
So I'm gonna check them out because I'll be very transparent. I'm not a coffee drinker at all. But if something is good, I would drink it. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna have a whole bag of the Blaze Ops blend, but
right.
I will buy the bag, have a cup or two to try it out, and then I'd probably give it away.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I have a lot of family and friends that like it, and I was like, I might just be one that just tested. Now, do they sell things online too, or are they just like a mom and pop's place where you have to go in and buy it?
No, it's all most all of their of our business dealings are done online. So at invadercoffee.com or Amazon even. Yeah, you get it there. Pretty sure we're in the HEBs in Texas now as well.
Okay, yeah, and I have one right. I'm into, yes. If you're in HEBs, then and you're listening, you're from Texas, yeah. There's, if you guys got into the HEBs, yeah, you guys are definitely in a big store, because that's equivalent to, I don't know if you guys have Publix all the way in where you're at. That's a big.
I know all those. I travel a lot. So Publix, Harris Teeter's, Food Lions. Yep. All the big ones.
Yeah. All the different things. But I might have to try some of that. Yeah. Like I said, I know people listen to me, and even when I do presentations, I tell them I don't drink coffee, and some people walk out as soon as I say that. So I've never got into it consistently, but I'll drink some here and there, especially to taste the flavors and to enjoy it for what it is. So when you make your coffee, do you make it with all the different fixes, or you just drinking it black?
No, I am half and half. That's it.
Okay.
That's what I add. Yep. I like the flavor, and I like the color, because you could really tell a lot about the cup of coffee when you pour a little half and half in it and you see the color explosion. I could determine whether or not it's going to taste good, if it's too weak, if it's too strong, all that stuff.
You could just tell as soon as that half and half hits, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I couldn't tell, but I'm sure there's some out there right now like, yep, I know exactly what Pat's talking about.
Yep,
if you put a little bit in there, you see the separation. You're like, oh yeah, that's coffee's no good. I've heard people say they look at I've been in supervisory roles, especially in law enforcement, and although I didn't drink coffee, I knew if I was on the graveyard shifts that it was my responsibility to make coffee for the next incoming shift. So I just told them, just give me the formula and I can replicate it. So I knew putting 3 scoops of like Folgers or something like that would make people good, but I couldn't look at it. I had other people come in and say, who made this? I was like, you didn't even drink this yet.
That's funny.
Yeah. And that's the real part of it. So all the stuff we've talked about today and on the show, you have a lot, like I said earlier on and multiple times, is that it seems like, from my perspective, that you found multiple ways to handle a lot of stressful situations that's going on. You have the mental side of it, the physical side of it. Would you suggest anybody else look at any other way to kind of overcome some of these hard times they're having in their lives, especially if they're going through something right now?
Well, I mean, some people they can't get out of their own way. They just have kind of a bleak outlook on life. Their woe is me. And personally, those folks, I have no time for, man. Because I like to motivate, I like to inspire. And it's really up to the individual to do that too. But I think we've mentioned the big ways to get out of a funk, and to lighten the amount of stress in your life. The diet, the exercise, the walking, getting out into Mother Nature, finding interests outside of work, like these vehicles of escapism, these creative outlets, I think are extremely important.
And I just love the way you phrase the vehicles of escape, because you're right. No matter what you do, no matter if you're in what public or the society would call a low stress job, high stress job, medium stress job, you should have some type of vehicle of escape no matter what. Because even I've seen people in so-called low-stress jobs struggle because there's internal factors that put them in a high-stress mindset, and they don't do as well because they don't have a vehicle to escape from their current environment. And that could be, like you said before, and I bring it up because I just doing some gardening or baking a cake, like doing just the small things like that, like things that you can do around your house without leaving, just takes your mind off of all that negative stuff that you may be experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the information's out there. You know, it's at your fingertips right now. Ever since what, 1996 or whenever, you know, whenever the interwebs hit everybody's houses and everybody bought a family computer.
But it's even hit more now with all the social media stuff. I mean, that's even like me, like like my mother, she watches a lot of TikTok and Facebook Reels, and then I watch a little bit here and there. And if I compare our phones, sometimes mine tends not to be as silly. Like mine's like motivational quotes and people working out, and then hers is just like funny kids like eating cake or something like that. Like,
right?
What are you watching, Mom, on this stuff? But it goes back to what you're inputting. Like, you can use the internet and social media to your advantage if you're choosing to do so.
Yeah. Or you could choose to shut it off.
Yes.
That's the best medicine. My wife did that recently. She did it. I think she's on like a month and a half now with no social media.
She's probably loving that.
Yep. She says it's very enriching to her mind.
Also, she probably has a lot of fresh thoughts.
She does. Yeah. She's incredible.
But so Pat, I know we can shut it off, but there's a Generation Z that only knows that. How do we get them to shut it off?
Yeah, that's a struggle because I own two of those Generation Zers. So there's a real there's a real struggle there because they've always known screens. So one of the things we do is you know, we do family dinners and there's no electronics. Do family movie nights, there's no electronics. And we'll just do family outings, and and they're screen-free outings.
You know, Simon Sinek, he's a motivational type speaker, written a couple of books. And one of the things he talks about when it comes to tech is like when he has dinners with certain groups of friends, they'll take all their phones and put it at the basket in front of the restaurant. So when they sit down, kind of like what you're saying, they won't have any tech, so they can actually enjoy the actual presence. Because he gives a pretty good example, and he's right. He says, like, sometimes even if you have your phone, you put it on the table and flip it upside down, you're still paying attention to your phone.
Yep. Yeah. You're waiting for that release of dopamine or whatever, you know. You're waiting for that stuff, man. And it's very unhealthy.
And we think that we're doing ourselves a service by flipping it upside down. And it's like, well, no, your phone's still sitting there. Like, you're still thinking about the phone. You just have it not in your hand actively, but inactively you're on it right now.
Yeah. And people have to remember that phone's flipped upside down, sitting in front of you. It's listening to everything you say.
That's actually a whole nother. I don't think he didn't talk about that part. It is, and he has a couple of YouTube clips and IG clips about that, but he was just talking about that. But yeah, you're man, and I'm sure if Invader Coffee has any kind of promos going on right now, if I go on Facebook or IG, I know that they will link it too. But you're right. Hey, Patty, you're right though. Yeah, just leaving the phone somewhere completely away, and because it is, you're right. It is always, I mean, I have an Alexa right now, and the fact that I just said it is probably turning blue or whatever right now. Because it's always listening. So that is 100% true. So no, man, you know, I tell the viewers and I always tell the guests that I try to keep our shows down to an hour. I know we're right at that mark, so I'm gonna keep my part true on that. But Pat, I know we kind of mentioned it before, especially early on, talking about all the social medias you're on. But if people were trying to reach you and they wanted to get more involved with some of the programs you have going, whether it's from T.A.P.S, T.A.P.S, or your basic dude stuff, let's just say if you had to rank 3, what would be the top 3 ways they can find you?
I think just there's one, The first one is if you just were to Google search T.A.P.S Inc. T.A.P.S, T.M.A.C.S. You got all my info right there. It's going to lead you to my online coaching squad, my the LinkedIn, the Instagram, and then my YouTube channel is Pat Mac, P-A-T-M-A-C.
Yep, he's right, guys. I just checked it.
Yeah.
Make sure. I'm all about real time following up on stuff.
Right. Good.
I got, and we all got so much stuff going on. I'll play around and move. Like, what was I supposed to do 4 minutes ago? Like what happened? So he's right. Like, you type in T-Max, and it's the first thing that pops up. He's definitely mastered the SEO game on that one to make sure that. But that's part of the process. That's part of learning about trademarks. That's part of understanding business.
Yep.
So any final words?
No, bro, I appreciate you having me on. I hope this reaches some folks, and because we did talk a lot about different subjects. So hoping that we were able to give somebody a kick in the pants.
Man, I know we were able to give them kick. I mean, you gave me a kick in the pants, and I didn't want to get kicked in the pants. I'm the host. And I got kicked in the pants. So
yeah, right, good.
but that's the goal. That's one, like I said, though, the overall goal of this show is to show people that whatever organization, entity that you're representing, you're still a person, and people that are looking at anybody in a uniform, understanding that they are a person, and that's what this show captivates. And Pat, you hit all the marks. You gave people reasons. You gave them strategies. You showed them a path on how to continue to thrive in all parts of their life. And that's the goal. So for me as the host, I appreciate your time. And I know the audience will definitely find some value, especially people that already follow you. They already know the value you bring consistently. And to people that don't follow you, that's going to listen, hey, make sure you guys follow him on LinkedIn, IG, subscribe to his YouTube page. If you're looking for training, reach out to him, because I can tell you this is the package that we look for in people when we're trying to improve ourselves as people.
Yep. You pegged it all, my man. So
appreciate it, guys. Make sure you guys check out all the stuff. If I'll put some info about Pat in the call notes, but it won't be hard for you to find them. But if you guys need anything, make sure you reach out. You guys have a great day and be safe.
You've been listening to the LEO First Podcast. Michael has been in law enforcement since 2005. He's worked for 3 law enforcement agencies in 3 different states. He's a professional speaker who travels the country teaching about leadership development and self-awareness. And he's the author of a book called Greatness Beyond the Badge: The 3 Key Principles for Self-Awareness. It's Michael's passion to bring law enforcement members' stories to the front, so you get the real and raw take. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with Michael on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Michael Laidler, on Twitter at Michael A. Laidler, on Facebook at Michael Laidler Leadership. Send an email to michael@michaelalaidler.com and hit the website at michaelalaidler.com. See you next time on the LEO First Podcast.